think it was muted. Sorry for blowing. So I'll just do the intro again because I muted my mic. Nah, it was muted. It was muted. It was muted. I saw the mute button was pressed on my microphone. So let's do the intro again. If you guys didn't hear me, Some Casual Takes, episode 64, hosted by your boy Stephen Pepper here to casually talk sports. I do the intro again. Shout out things air in the comments. Happy Friday, everybody. I already said that, but you guys didn't hear me because I was muted. Happy Friday. Good day. Good Friday. We know we got some ball to talk about. This episode is brought to you by no one. Last night was Thursday Night Football. I'm going to analyze that game, Giants 49ers. I'm also going to preview the Colorado-Oregon game because everyone in national media is talking about Deion Sanders and this Colorado team every single day, and I think that's a staple on my Monday and Friday shows. We're going to talk about Colorado every week. I enjoy talking about Colorado. We're talking about the Trevon Diggs injury as well. Short, concise episode today. Good Friday. Get you guys out. Enjoy your day on a Friday. So I'm not going to hold you guys for an hour. I don't want to be here for an hour because it's Friday. I want to have fun. So let's go to the Giants 49ers first. Thursday Night Football. So the New York Football Giants marched into San Francisco and immediately got kicked out. 30-12 win for the San Francisco 49ers over the Giants. I do want to say this first. We need to I know streaming is like transforming the game, and MLB with their Apple TV and college football with their Peacock, and I assume the NBA's next. I think the NBA's having games are going to be streaming on HBO Max next year for the NBA, something like that. I know streaming's taking over how we view. Most of us watch games now on our phones. Shout out Stream East. I know most of us watch games on our phones and computers now and Apple TV. So most of us stream and we don't have Spectrum or AT&T cable boxes. But dude, Amazon Prime games are so awkward. At least if you're going to stream, baseball streams games on Tuesdays, that's fine. But weekend games, prime time, the biggest games of the week, should absolutely not be on Prime Video. Bro, bars can't fire up Prime unless they have an insane TV or insane system. Your local bar can't fire up Thursday Night Football because they don't have Prime Video on their TVs. Unless they have an insane TV that has a Prime app or they can AirPlay, they can't. So I can't go out on Thursdays anymore because or else I'm just going to miss the Thursday Night Football game and I can only watch the highlights because I don't have access to the full game. And I don't want to I just don't want to watch the highlights because I'm not giving you guys the best analysis. So for you guys, for my viewers, my growing YouTube audience, I see our YouTube views are going up per video. Shout out to you guys. For my growing YouTube audience, I'm sacrificing my Thursdays to watch the full games to give you guys the best commentary on the game. So 49ers won 30-12. Let's talk about the 49ers first. The San Francisco 49ers, to me, are the best team in the league. I am kind of rivaling the Dallas Cowboys. I've been saying the Cowboys have been one of my favorites. I had the 49ers to be the 1 seed coming in this season. I had them easily winning the division. Some people thought they could rival with the Rams or the Seahawks. No, 49ers are the best team in the league, and I think they should punch their Super Bowl tickets today. Because what I've been seeing in the last 3 weeks from San Francisco, I would punch their Super Bowl tickets today. NFC Championship game last year, Super Bowl 3 years ago, NFC Championship again 2 years after that Super Bowl. A year after that Super Bowl. I'm punching the ticket now. This team is just too good. Absolutely too good. I can look at the rest of the schedule right now. Unless a major injury happens, they were without Brandon Ayuk last night, but I don't think that's a major injury. Unless major injuries happen, this team could very well just go undefeated the rest of the way. Now, they do play the Cowboys. They do play the Eagles. They still have some tough games on their schedule, but this could be a 1-2 loss team in January. That's how confident I'm in the San Francisco 49ers. Offensively, the San Francisco 49ers, Kyle Shanahan is an absolute genius. Him, Sean McVay are the two best offensive coaches in football. Andy Reid too. But talk about the younger guys. Two young best offensive coaches in the league because everyone's just open on this team. I'm watching the San Francisco 49ers offensively. Everyone's open. Take snap, back to throw. Everyone's open. Boom, Deebo Samuel, quick slant across the middle. He's already booty, butt, naked, wide open. Deebo Samuel, wide open every time. He was 6 catches for 129 yards. Christian McCaffrey is an absolute beast. The way they use Christian McCaffrey in the passing game, in the running game. He's running behind Trent Williams, probably the best offensive lineman in the sport. The holes are there for him. And the great blocking on the outside for him to catch screen passes. Christian McCaffrey. I want to point out Christian McCaffrey, 13 straight games with a touchdown. That is absolutely insane. I was told going into the season by Kyle Shanahan that his workload was going to go down. Mitchell's stock could go up, and it still seems like he's sort of that bell cow he was, a little bit less in Carolina. Last night, 18 carries, 85 yards, pretty efficient, got a tutty, and then was still catching passes, 5 for 34 in the air. 13 straight games with a touchdown. Guys, if you spent $100, if you were to bet anytime touchdown, that first game he scored a touchdown, and you were to bet $100 on that first game and it rolled it over till last night, you would have made $70,000 profit. That is absolutely insane. That's the beast he is. And Christian McCaffrey, all of a sudden, injury bug, glass man, Christian day-to-day, McCaffrey, just throw it out the window because ever since he's been in San Francisco, that injury bug that he caught in Carolina because of the workload just hasn't existed. Even with no Ayuk, George Kittle, thank God. He's my fantasy tight end in most of my leagues. Clocked in 7 receptions, 90 yards. He was 13 yards a catch. Dudes like Jawan Jennings. I don't know who that is. Borderline 16 yards a catch. Ronnie Bell, touchdown, 12 yards a catch. Their receiving was about 12.4 yards per catch. Kyle Shanahan with all these motions, with all these routes across the middle of the field, he's got his guys running. That's without Brandon Ayuk, and he's still able to draw it up. It's kind of like how Sean McVay is able to get Tutu Atwell and Puka and Acuna wide open without even a Cooper Kupp. That's the offense that they're running. You just can't guard that offensively. And Brock Purdy, he's smart enough. He can read a defense. He can step up in the pocket. He got blitzed a lot last night. He can step up and make that correct throw. I do give credit where credit's due to Brock Purdy. He can find the reads on the field. But I do have some issues with Brock Purdy. But I will say, though, Brock Purdy has yet to lose a game, regular season game, as a 49er. And I still don't know how good he is. I'm telling you, it's so funny because if any other young quarterback on any other team were to do this, I'd say that person is quick to being one of the best quarterbacks in the league. But in Brock Purdy's situation, I still kind of see a lot of the system working in his favor rather than individual talent. Now, I'm not saying that Brock Purdy's bad. No. But when I fire up 49ers games, I catch myself saying more, wow, great play by Debo, or wow, great run, CMC, than wow, great throw by Brock Purdy. Only a few guys in the league could do that. Now, Purdy's stats look great, but how many of those yards were just screens and slants that were wide open thanks to Kyle Shanahan, and then his elite track team weapons yacked it for 10 more yards? Remember this. This system took Jimmy G to a Super Bowl and another NFC championship. I need to see more impressiveness from Purdy before I get obsessed with his win total and say he's one of the best quarterbacks. Say he's on the top half of the best quarterbacks in the league. But Brock Purdy is a poised quarterback. I will give him credit. He's poised. He's pretty accurate in the short field. He knows he is able to run this offense accordingly. And that's what the offense needs. They don't need a Mahomes. The Trey Lance didn't work out. They just need a quarterback who can run the offense accordingly, get the ball out, precision, short field, dump it to McCaffrey in the screen, and let him go to work. That's why I think Kirk Cousins would absolutely win like 2 straight Super Bowls with this roster, because I think Kirk Cousins get the ball out to his team and deliver it accordingly, and Kirk Cousins has a better arm and can probably open this offense a little more up. Because when I'm watching this game of Brock Purdy, a lot of his yards were the screen passes to Christian McCaffrey, the dump-offs, or the quick slants that were wide open to Deebo Samuel, or the hitch routes to like George Kittle that were absolutely, and then those elite weapons. He has the best yards after catch weapons in football. Those after it'll be like a 7-yard completion that was absolutely wide open, and then they'll break like 5 tackles and turn into like a 20-yard completion. But when Brock Purdy was asked, now he did make some good throws. I know that touchdown to Ronnie Bell, he did a defender's face, falling back, touchdown, corner in the end zone. It was pretty good by the pylon. It was pretty good. He also had a good throw to Debo, although the DB still probably could have broke it up. I would have preferred that touch. I would have preferred in the back shoulder, but it was still a pretty good pass. But again, there was more. It was more, wow, great play CMC route, wow, great play Debo than Brock Purdy. Like when Brock Purdy, every time he was in the red zone, required to make a tight throw in a window to like a George Kittle, he couldn't necessarily make that throw. He got bailed out a lot by the refs. Every time he would make a tight throw, it was either holding, pass interference. But in the short field, when it's wide open, he can make that throw and run this offense. He started off pretty shaky. His incompletions were high. He had a few balls that could have been intercepted because a lot of the routes weren't wide open. So when he was forced to throw, it didn't look that great. I will give the Giants defense a little credit though. They blitzed him on 33 out of 39% of his 39 of his dropbacks, which is pretty insane. That was the defense that he was facing. But I need to see a little bit more about Brock Purdy because people are probably raving about Brock Purdy's win-loss record right now. His only loss his entire career was the NFC Championship game, the game he lost. The game he got injured, had a UCL injury. But other than that, he's 11-0 if you take that game out in his 49ers career, including postseason. That's absolutely insane. I do like Purdy, but I kind of get in a little Jimmy G 2.0 because the weapons and the system is there. And he's playing behind a great defense. And speaking of that defense, with Trevon Diggs' injury that we're going to get into in a second, this is the best defense in the league. And now it's clear. This is the best defense in the league. Let me read off some stats about how great the San Francisco 49ers defense is. They're fourth in yards per completion with 5. They're top 5 in all these stats I'm about to list to you guys. Second in interceptions with 5. And they play the most games. They're the only team in the league. The stats I'm reading off to you, by the way, they're outside the Giants. They're the only team in the league that's played 3 games. So when I'm saying second, third, fourth, their 49ers defense is competing with teams that have played only 2 games, by the way. So they could be like 1, 2, 3 in a lot of these categories by Monday when every other team's played 3 games and play better competition. They're tied for 4th in sacks with 8. When it comes to total yards, they're 4th, 258.3. Now, that's a little high. When I look at like the Dallas defense is barely, I don't think Dallas has given up in 2 games. I don't think Dallas has given up more than 200 yards. It's a little high compared to like a Dallas when it comes to total yards. That's because not only, like I said, they played 3 games, but you can kind of throw on this team. I've noticed that's been the biggest weakness for me in the last couple of years for the 49ers. I pointed this out. Their DBs aren't that great. You can kind of throw on the 49ers. That's been their biggest weakness defensively. In the Kyle Shanahan era, since they've been a legit Super Bowl team since like 2019, you can throw on this team. But their bread and butter is that pass rush. It's that front 7. It's the Warners. It's the Bosas of the world. You can absolutely not run on this team. They're number 2 in rush yards allowed per game. Just 52 rush yards per game. Now, they didn't play Saquon Barkley last night. He was hurt. So they were playing bums. Like, I don't want to say bums is offensive, but they were playing, backup, the warmers, like Matt Breida. They're playing the other guy. I forgot his name. Let me pull him up. I don't want to disrespect him. They played Gary Brightwell. They were playing those type of guys. But Daniel Jones has rushing upside. Daniel Jones is one of the best rushing quarterbacks in the league. And I don't know if Saquon Barkley on this team would fare that much better against this run defense. 52 yards allowed. And then when it comes to points per game, they're getting up just 14. They were doing all this last year. These stats I'm listing to you guys was reminiscing on last year, like 14 points a game, number 52 yards per rush. Like, this is what some of the best defense ever do. And I think they're going to do it again. This is absolutely the best defense in the league. So when it comes to the 49ers, punch that Super Bowl ticket. You got best tackle. That matters when you're trying to keep your quarterback protected. The Giants blitzed on like 80% of Purdy's dropbacks. Best tackle opens up the lanes for probably the best running back in the sport, especially since Nick Chubb is injured. Best running back in the sport. Best yards after the catch receiver group in the league, other than maybe like the Dolphins, because you got Debo, Ayuk when he comes back, George Kittle, and then Christian McCaffrey's in that passing attack as well. A competent quarterback, Brock Purdy. An okay secondary, but that gets bailed out by probably the best front 7 in football, up there with Dallas. And then as far as the Giants are okay. Like they're okay. Is this a playoff team? No, but I didn't expect them to be a playoff team. They did make the playoffs last year, but if you guys watch my channel, I didn't expect them to be a playoff team. I didn't pick them to make the playoffs. I didn't think this team was that good. I didn't think they got it significantly better from last year, and I didn't think they should have made the playoffs last year. I think I'm not saying they got lucky, but they packed on a couple easy wins last year here and there. It's because they don't fare good against elite defenses. Dable's a really good coach, but this Daniel Jones guy doesn't fare good against elite defenses. 0-7 going back from the start of last year and including playoffs. They're 0-7 against the Eagles, Cowboys, 49ers. I mean, nothing wrong with being 0-7 against the 3 best teams in your conference, but you're trying to make the playoffs. Get a win, maybe. It just shows the gap between the Giants and the top of the top. I mean, 2 of those teams I just showed you are in the Giants division, the NFC East. That's not a good look for the Giants. It's because Daniel Jones, this year, he's 2 touchdowns to 4 INTs. That's a bad ratio. Double the interceptions as touchdowns. And he's 21st right now in QBR with 48. It doesn't help that Daniel Jones is leading the offense, is getting up to absolute slow starts. They're killers for the Giants. Down 17-6 last night to the 49ers at halftime. Down 20-0 to Josh Dobbs' Cardinals. And down 26-0 against Dallas at halftime. They don't have that miraculous comeback against the Josh Dobbs-led Cardinals. They play any other team other than the Cardinals week 2. The Giants are 0-3. That's the Giants. They're 0-3 if they played any other team, maybe the Texans, not named Josh Dobbs' Arizona Cardinals on that week 2 slot. They start off slow. Saquon Barkley's hurt again. That offensive line is trash but banged up now too. And Daniel Jones doesn't fare well against elite defenses. That's not a recipe for the playoffs. Now, if they sneak in, I wouldn't be shocked, because you could pack on some easy wins and then make it in as the 7th seed because they expanded the playoffs. But I don't think this team will make the playoffs. I'm not saying the season's over, but Saquon's health, offensive line health, and it wasn't already good to begin with. Daniel Jones, when he has to pass against a really good defense, he can't just run all over the place and throw screen passes, doesn't look good for him, and they get off to a slow start. When this team isn't playing Joshua Dobbs, they're winless. They're winless. All right, let's move on to Trevon Diggs' injury. So yesterday, breaking news, Dallas Cowboys defensive back Trevon Diggs ended his season with a torn ACL. This is ACL, in a non-contact drill. This is so unfortunate for the Dallas Cowboys. My friend is a Dallas Cowboys fan, and as soon as that Schefter tweet hit, he was texting me with all caps, no, why me? This was our year. And every Cowboys fan on Twitter, if you go on the Trevon Diggs post in the comments, they're crying. I mean, if I was a Cowboys fan, I would cry. Not saying the season's over. Of course it's not. But this absolutely sucks, because when you put yourself in the shoes of a Cowboys fan, and at least coming from me, this felt like the Cowboys' year. I haven't said this in a long time. I think the last time I said this was 2015, when they had that Romo, DeMarco Murray, Dez Bryant year, and they with the Dez Bryant incomplete the catch against Green Bay that year. I think that was the last time where I confidently said, because I picked Dallas to rival Seattle in the NFC for the Super Bowl that year. This is the first year. It's been 8 years since then. First time in 8 years where I'm like, okay, this is a Dallas team that has barely any flaws and can actually go to the Super Bowl, and Dallas doesn't Dallas. And now they didn't Dallas. They didn't upchuck. Dak's not throwing the interceptions, but their interception leader's hurt. It's not good for their secondary. I actually thought this was their year. I thought they could beat San Francisco this year and go to a Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl. I thought they were that good. Listen to my last 2 podcasts. I've been raving about the Dallas Cowboys in this team. 5 points per game allowed. And they played 2 games, I know, but they've only allowed 5 points per game. That's insane. 10 total points in 2 games. Compare that to what they've scored. They scored 30 against the Jets, and they scored 40 against Dallas. Against the Giants. So they scored 70 points offensively and defensively combined. The team scored 70 while giving up 10. That's a 60-point differential. This Dallas Cowboys team is really good. I know Daniel Jones, Zach Wilson competition, low bar, but those were 2 possible playoff teams that they played. This Dallas defense could rival San Francisco for being the best defense in the league. I've been raving about this defense. Michael Parsons, Trevon Diggs, Stephon Gilmore, this front, DeMarcus Lawrence. They're top 5 in pretty much every defensive category. This is a really good defense. It just sucks because Trevon Diggs, Michael Irvin said this today on Undisputed. He's one of the two guys that absolutely couldn't go down for the Dallas team. Other than Michael Parsons, Trevon Diggs was the guy on defensively who could absolutely not go down. He's up there with like CeeDee Lamb as far as like the entire team who absolutely cannot go down for Dallas. Think about Pollard, Parsons, Lamb, of course, Dak, but he's the quarterback. Let's talk about like other positions. And Diggs absolutely can't go down if this team wants to win a Super Bowl. And he went down. This is a guy who was a first-team All-Pro talent. Remember in 2021, he led the league with 11 interceptions, and he was a Pro Bowler as well last year. He already has one interception this year. He's one of the best ball hawks in the sport, a guy who can get you about a couple interceptions a year and make a Pro Bowl team and lock down the side of the field. And he's injured. Now, they still have a great pass rush, Micah Parsons. They can still get to a quarterback. San Francisco doesn't have a great secondary. I mean, one of their best defensive backs in San Francisco is Deshaun Gibson. Like, come on. Like, one of their best, like, come on. They're getting away with it because they have such an elite pass rush, elite run-stopping team. They could do it. They can't. They'll still be fine. You still have Micah across the going on. Still have Micah lined up on the edge. You still have Stephon Gilmore. Still, I know he's old, but I think he's still one of the best corners in the league. He had an interception a couple weeks ago. He's still one of the better corners in the league. He can lock down the side of the field. I think Stephon Gilmore is probably at least a top 20, 15 corner in the sport still. You're still good over there. You still have that front seven. It's just going to be a little tough. I mean, the Dolphins defense with no Ramsey for like the first 10 games of the year, they're pretty good. I think they're a top 15 at least defense in the league as far as passing attack. I mean, that one game they had a couple games where they gave up a lot of yards in the Chargers, so their stats don't look that great. But look how they did against New England. I mean, they still have Phillips. They still have a couple guys there. Xavier Howard. Their defense is still fine. So there's a little optimism there. But does this seem like, okay, if their defense takes this hit, are they going to allow a couple more yards? Maybe another touchdown, an extra field goal is Dallas going to allow now no Trevon Diggs. So does that mean in return that Dak Prescott needs to step up a little bit? I was so confident in Dallas because I was like, the defense is so elite that they don't need to ask anything of Dak. Dak Prescott can almost be like Brock Purdy, but just a little bit better. Like, hey, just don't turn the ball over. Get it out to our weapons. You're playing behind a great defense. Just don't turn it over, and you'll be fine. Dak Prescott was playing more like a game manager this year, and I really thought that's how Cowboys could thrive. But now with Diggs out, maybe the defense slips a little bit, and they'll be asking more for Dak. They do play the Cardinals this week, which is a layup for a Dallas Cowboys type team. So let's see how they come out defensively against the Cardinals. And, well, I mean, low bar, low test. I mean, Josh Dobbs, that's how you're going to test your defense against Josh Dobbs. But still, I mean, they were up, 20-0 against the Giants defense. And they almost beat the Commanders. So there we go. So let's just see how they fare without Trevon Diggs going forward before I'm like, oh, Dallas season's over. Because a lot of anti-Dallas people today are probably like, ha, Dallas window shut. I don't necessarily think so. But let me see how that secondary plays the next couple of games. All right, let's talk college football and end the show. Like we do every week, we talk Prime. I know are some people sick of Coach Prime? I know people in the comments of like ESPN and Bleacher Report posts are like, oh, yet again, another Prime post. I love this Colorado story. This is, if you guys don't know, like their game against Colorado State. Colorado State, that's not even a real team. It's not even a real team. No offense. That game had 9 million viewers on streaming. And then as far as live TV, the most watched live ESPN college football game at that 10 o'clock slot in history. That's insane. That's what Deion's pulling. 9 million views on streaming. He's pulling dudes who don't religiously watch college football. College football gets a lot of views every year, but when you're pulling 9 million in a game, you're pulling dudes who usually don't watch college football. Maybe you're pulling NFL fans. Maybe you're pulling non-football fans who just want to watch Coach Prime in the storyline. That's what Coach Prime's pulling. So, what was I even planning to say here? I don't even know what I was trying. This is like that level of story that we're going on with is this Coach Prime team. But this is a very stacked college football schedule. A lot. I can't wait for the Saturday. I'm going to be locked in. Obviously, I'm going to be chilling with the boys. It's Saturday. Saturdays are for the boys. A lot of top 25 versus top 25 matchups Clemson's not top 25 anymore, but we still got Florida State, Clemson, Cincinnati, but they were in the playoffs 2 years ago. Got Oklahoma, Cincinnati. Now they're in the Big 12. This is their first Big 12, huge Big 12 matchup. Colorado, Oregon, UCLA, Utah, Ole Miss, Alabama. Who else have we got? LSU, Arkansas. Now, Arkansas isn't ranked, but this is SEC, 2-1 Arkansas against LSU. Oregon State, Washington State. Texas, Baylor. Now, still Texas. Baylor was a ranked team last year. Ohio State, Notre Dame. Iowa, Penn State. Pitt was ranked like a year or so ago, playing North Carolina. So a lot of stacked games. A lot of stacked games. Oh, I remember what I'm trying to say. L host. What I was trying to say about the Colorado bringing in a lot of views, it was about me because I don't watch college football that religiously. I'll watch Ohio State every week. I'll watch the big games, but I'm not so into college sports. But Deion Sanders, NFL guy, swag, Shador with the watch. It's brought me. I'm watching more college football this year, and that's due to Colorado. So it's like I'm watching Colorado, but I also have to watch Oregon, USC, and all these other teams to like get a gauge how good Colorado is. It's exciting. I actually starting to like college football a lot more. I used to watch all the time growing up, but then I kind of stopped. It's kind of weird to be because these dudes are like the same age as me, and I'm also in college and like I'm rooting for schools that I don't even go to. But Colorado, I've been yapping. I'm the president of Yapperville on this podcast. Colorado goes into Eugene, Oregon to play Oregon at 3:30 on ABC to kick off Big 12 play. They have a huge Big 12 slate now coming up because, they got USC and Caleb Williams next week. They still have to play UCLA, Utah, Washington, or Washington State, Oregon State. They're starting their their Pac-12 run. And they're going up against an Oregon team that's really good. Oregon, sorry, my computer glitched. Oregon's Wi-Fi's tweaking. Hopefully I'm not crashing out. But Oregon is 10th in the nation. This is a really good team. And Colorado, one of my biggest concerns of Colorado that I've been talking to you guys in these previous shows is defensively. How good is this team defensively? If they were going to play at USC, they're going to play at Utah, they're going to play some of the best teams in the Pac-12, or they're going to go play a huge bowl game by the end of the year. Is this team good defensively to win big-time matchups? Sure, you can beat Colorado State, but I've even seen red flags against Colorado State. Against Colorado State, they almost let up almost 400 total yards passing, 4 touchdowns. And then we know the TCU game, they allowed 42 points. My biggest concern of them has been defensively. Can they stop the run? Can they stop the pass? This is an Oregon team that you need Shiloh Sanders in that defensive side of the ball. They need to buckle down. They need to be ready to put the clamps on Oregon because Oregon's going to be ready to shoot fireworks. Oregon is number 3 in total yards per game in the entire country with 587. And they're number 2 in the entire country in points per game with 58. They blew out a team 81-7 week 1. Now, I know it was Portland State, and you're probably like, bro, Portland State, is that even when was the last time Portland State was ranked? I know. Is that even an FCS team? I know. I know it's Portland State. But considering that Colorado played Colorado State and almost lost, had to go to overtime, you'll have to look at that Portland State game a little differently. Colorado on the defensive side of the ball, giving up 460 total yards a game and 30 points per game. And now they're playing this Oregon team with Bo Nix, that offense that's putting up 58 points per game. They have to play that offense without their best corner, Travis Hunter. No Travis Hunter in Oregon, a place in Oregon where Oregon is 26-1 in their last 27 in Eugene. They got to play Bo Nix, that offense, that stadium, that crowd, with a defense that's given up 30 points per game and 460 without Travis Hunter, a 5-star recruit, a Heisman Trophy candidate, playing corner. Oregon is the 21-point favorite in this game. Vegas is hammering Oregon. The person that needs to be on his A game is Shador Sanders. These next 2 games are huge for Shador's career, huge for his draft stock, huge for Heisman. Shador Sanders needs to play like a number 1 pick, 21 underdog. Now, they're huge underdogs to TCU, but if Colorado wants to come out and win this game, upset Oregon, because if they upset Oregon, by the way, this number 10th team in the country, everyone's going to think Colorado. Okay, now some people still doubted Colorado after the TCU victory. That's why they're still the 21-point dogs. And look, now no Travis Hunter, barely beat Colorado State. People are still doubting Colorado. But if they can beat Oregon, 10th team in the country, where would this team be ranked on Tuesday going in that USC matchup? But Shador needs to play like the number 1 pick. Shador Sanders, in his first 3 games in Colorado, 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns, 1 interception. He needs to play like that level of quarterback. I think he's second in passing yards per game in the nation with like 410. He needs to put about almost 500 against Oregon if they want to win this game. Because I don't think defensively this team's going to hold up against Colorado. I think against Oregon, if Colorado wants to win this game, it's going to be very much reminiscent of the TCU game where they're going to have to pull out like a 45-40 type victory. Who do I think is going to win this game? First of all, now this is not betting advice, but give me Colorado easy to cover. 21's a huge cover. But if I had to say who wins, money line, if I had to make my pick, now I said Colorado was going to absolutely smack Colorado State last week, and I was wrong. If I had to make a pick, I know deep down Oregon's going to beat them because Oregon's the better team. They're better overall. They have because Colorado. You can't just completely transform an entire roster into elite offensive line, elite defensive line, elite DBs, elite this, elite that. You can't have elite everywhere first year, especially when you come into an 1-11 team. So overall balance, Oregon's better. But I like the script. And I'm going to take Colorado to win this game. Now, deep down, I think Oregon's winning it. But if Colorado can make it close, if Shador Sanders is feeling like him, Colorado's going to win this game. Because if it's close, there's no one in the sport, maybe other than Caleb Williams, maybe not even Caleb Williams. When this is a close game, there's no one in the sport that I want as my quarterback in a close game than Shador Sanders. Look at all the fourth quarters in every game. Nebraska, look how they closed out that fourth quarter. TCU. They were down. They had to go back and forth with TCU to pull that one out. And they went on a run where they scored like 4 straight touchdowns against TCU in the fourth quarter. And to beat Colorado State, overtime, excellent. Fourth quarter, 2 minutes to go, backed up on your own goal line. Shador, touchdown, tie game. I've been the most clutch player in college sports. If there was anyone I wanted as my quarterback, if this game's close, Colorado wins this. Colorado has to keep it close, though. So that means somehow their defense just turns up, but I doubt it. So that means Shador Sanders has to be absolutely elite. If this game is like a 3-7, maybe 10-point game in the fourth quarter, give me Colorado. But if they're down like 20 in like the first half, it's over. And I could very well see this because the line says Oregon's favored by 21. But if this game is close, give me Dion. Give me Shador. I can see it now. I can absolutely see it now. All the Oregon fans in Eugene booing after Shador Sanders game-winning touchdown. He's over there on the sideline hitting the Shador, flexing that rollie, flexing that watch. I can see it. I'm going to dream about it tonight. I'm going to go to bed, and I'm going to envision the outcome of this game. But right now, if I daydream, I think I can see Shador Sanders game-winning touchdown against Oregon. Colorado loses game against Oregon, by the way, season's over. Like season is absolutely over if Colorado loses a game to Oregon. Because if they lose to Oregon, they're not beating USC. They still have like 4 more ranked Pac-12 opponents who are really good. They lose this game, season's over. Well, season's not over, but like you guys know what I'm saying. Like the chance of them being ranked by the end of the year is going to be hard unless they beat like unless they clutch up and win out the rest of the year. Because because they lose to Oregon, I'm not taking them over USC. I'm not taking them, especially if defensively I still see the same falls. It will depend how they lose. But they can, if they lose against Oregon, I see like an 4-loss season incoming, which isn't bad when considering that Colorado was 1-11 last year and brought in like 60 new players. But Colorado, give me them to win if the game is close. All right, that's it for me today. I appreciate everyone who tuned in on Twitch. And shout out again to the guys on YouTube who tune in and got a lot of new subscribers recently, and the views have been up. So appreciate everyone who watches after the live show and when I upload it to YouTube. Follow all the social media, Some Casual Takes, same handle on everything to get update on everything related to this show. Next show will be Monday. I have class on Monday, so I can't. So Monday around like 11 to 12, just in case I go any earlier or later, turn on post notifications on YouTube or turn on live notifications if you watch live on Twitch. But until Monday, thank you guys for tuning in.